Tá entrando?
Slide.
Good evening. Welcome, everybody. Thank you for being here tonight. Um, it's night time, but here looks like afternoon, actually, it's still daylight. So good evening, good morning, good afternoon, depending where you are. So tonight we'll keep studying, doing our study of Gospel according to Spiritism and Spirit's book as well. So in terms of news, sorry, can you turn off the music? Thank you. So in terms of news of the group, we don't have much at the moment, so pretty much business as usual. Tonight in here, we don't have many incarnate spirits, but we don't know how many no incarnated we have here. And so it doesn't really matter the number of people. What matters is our energy, is our willingness to learn. And we know that some people may not be in person here, but they may be watching us on Facebook or Instagram or YouTube, or maybe watching later as well. So welcome everybody. Let's start our meeting. As usual, we'll do our initial reading, inspirational reading. We're starting a new book today, which is called Living Spring. In Portuguese, it would be Fonte Viva. I didn't even know, but I found out today, which is fine, that translation. So, chapter one of this book. In light of the lesson, consider well what I'm telling you, for the Lord will give you understanding in everything. Paul 2 Tim 2:7. In light of an exposition of the truth, remember to ponder the lesson you have received. Those who glance up the sky without contemplating it will never really see the stars. Those who listen to a symphony without opening up the acoustic of their soul will never perceive its divine notes. Listening to the inspired words of ardent preachers will do you no good whatsoever if you do not open up your heart, so that your sentiments may be immersed in their blessed light. Countless followers of the gospel complain about their inability to retain its teachings, claiming to be unfit in light of its new revelations. This is because they do not spend enough time meditating on its lessons, whereas they spend too much time on distractions and frivolity. When a room is too dark, it is up to us to open the windows to let the sun shine in. If we will dedicate a little effort to the blessing of the lesson will answer us with its blessings. The apostle to the Gentiles is very clear when he says, consider what I'm telling you, for the Lord will give you understanding in everything. To consider means to examine, hear, reflect, and evaluate. Therefore, we can be sure that, in paying attention to the principles of the code of eternal life, the Lord will reward our goodwill by giving us understanding in everything. So, with the lessons of this reading in mind, we can then do our initial prayer. Can you put some music, please? Thank you. Dear God, our Father, the creator of this beautiful universe. Jesus, our Master, our friends, spiritual friends that help us and inspire us. We are very grateful to be here tonight, to have a break from our problems, our worries, and use our time to study the spiritual life, to study Jesus' lessons, in order to learn more and apply the learning in our daily life. Please help us to be here tonight, present, with our minds open, so we can learn and receive the positive fluids from the spiritual plane. So, would you like to ask permission to start another Allan Kardec meeting? Thank you. So be it. Okay. Hello, Tanya. How are you?
Good.
Good. That's good. So I wasn't here last week. Um, I believe that last week we started a new chapter. Was the beginning, right, of the chapter last week? The workers of the last hour, if I'm not mistaken. So did anybody that was here, would you like to make a comment about the beginning of the chapter? Anything that got the attention or was interesting about that?
I think he talks about all the work that spirits and people have done before us and how we should be grateful for it. As we are the last one to arrive here, and without any of the efforts, we wouldn't be here today. We wouldn't have everything that we have here today. So, yeah, that just applies to us. They talk about parable that mentions people being jealous. I believe they mention about the workers that have not worked the whole day, just a part of the day. So they complain that they receive the same one denarius as another ones. And he explains that people should be happy with what they got instead judging other people or being jealous about other people. They went there with a goal, they achieved the goal, so they have no reason to complain. So the same apply for us. Sometimes we think life is not fair, or sometimes we think people are working more than us, but in reality, all of us in here right now, there are so many, many others that come before us. They have worked, they have studied, the knowledge we have today, things we have today. It's only here today because some people spend potentially their lifetime doing it. Then we should be humble and grateful for it. So that's what I remember.
Well, thank you. It's a very good summary, definitely. Anyone else? Anything to add?
There is this parable
Mhm.
where, as Robin said,
Mhm.
they will compare the workers of the first hour as the Jewish people that received the law of Moses,
Mhm.
and then after that came the first Christians, and they had a lot of work to do, and also the spirits. Yeah, I mean the spiritism comes as the workers of the last hour.
Right.
So there's a whole work that was done before the message came to us without any, no more analogies, no more
Allegories, so
allegories,
many, yeah.
nothing.
Yeah.
So yeah, a lot of work had to be done, and we have this last hour of work to do
Yes.
now. But it doesn't mean that it's not less important. It's just as important as the work that was done before. The job that was done before.
Definitely. Thank you. Yeah, so it seems that it's a really good time to be here, as lots of work have been done before us, but of course we don't know how much we participated in that past, because we are not new spirits, not our first reincarnation, right? Do you have anything else in there? Or not at the moment?
That's really good. We talk about a lot of hobbies.
Okay,
Nothing bad.
thank you. Anyone else? Yeah, so we can make the most of the moment here. So and be very grateful for what has been done before. And everything happens for a reason. Everything happens in the right time. So now is the time. But we'll see today that it's good to be. We are lucky to be in that time, but we need to make use of it. So just being spiritist or just being here right now doesn't will give us results unless we have some action on that, as we apply what we know. Well, we'll see this tonight. Oh, thank you, guys.
And as we think of collective evolution and growth, we
Yeah.
should do our best today as well because the people in the future will use it. So we'll help them.
That's right. That's right. Thank you. So today we'll read the mission of Spiritists. Who would you like to start for us, please?
I can start.
Thank you, Ricardo.
The mission of Spiritism. Uh,
Can you
Or-
see one?
do you not already hear the rumbling of the tempest that must do away with the old world and engulf in nothingness the sum of earth's iniquities? All bless the Lord. You who have put your faith in the sovereign justice and who, as new apostles of the belief revealed by prophetic voices. Prophetic voice, thank you. On high, for forth and preach the new tenet of reincarnation and of the elevation of spirits according to whether they fulfilled their mission well or badly, or how they bore their earth trials. Fear not. Tongues of the fire are upon your heads, all true followers of Spiritism. You are the chosen ones of God. Go and preach the divine word. The time has come in which you must sacrifice your habits, labors, and fully concerns to its propagation. Go forth and proclaim it. Spirits from on high are with you. Of course, you will speak to individuals who will not want to listen to the voice of God, for that voice insensibly calls call them to selfness. You will proclaim disinterestedness
Yeah.
Yeah.
to the greedy, abstains to the desolate, and kindness to domestic tyrants, as well to despots. Wasted words, I know, but what does it matter? You must water with your sweat the ground that you must sow. So, for it will not produce a crop except through repeated efforts of the evangelical whole and blue go forth and proclaim. Yes, you man, woman of God faith, who are aware of how small you are as you look at other words scattered, uh, thoughtful
Throughout.
throughout the infinite set off on a crusade against injustice and iniquity. Go forth and reserve this worship of the golden calf. Each day, more and more encroaching, each more and more encroaching. Go, God will guide you. God will guide you. Simple and unlearned man and woman, your tongues will be loosened, and you will speak as no other orator speaks. Go forth and proclaim, and attentive people will joyfully taking our words of consolation, fraternity, hope, and peace.
Okay, let's stop for a little bit because it's very long if we just keep going. So we probably should just stop for some comments and then continue. Would you like to make a comment, Ricardo? Let us know. Yeah, quickly. Thank you.
Cool. So the last week we said that we are the workers of the last hour,
Mm-hmm.
and then we are spiritists.
Yeah.
And here is saying now what is our mission, what
Yes.
God wants us to do. And he is describing basically all the steps that we need to follow.
Mm-hmm.
And the good thing is that here it's clear that we're going to have help from the higher spirits, from the superior spirits, that they will be always behind us, supporting us and helping us to uh,
Go
use
forth.
this. Yeah, let me see here. It's saying that we need to spread that message, and sometimes our message, our uh, voice or our
The voices.
yeah voices will be wasted because sometimes they don't want to hear us. They are
Yeah.
not ready for the message, but we just need to wait. And it's like the parable of the seed. Sometimes they're going to try to plant the seed, and the soil is not good enough to receive the seed yet, and it's going to be wasted. But will be soils that will be good, and the seed will grow and blossom. So that's the idea. We have to try and keep showing and telling them, not just with words. Like I hear is focus on words, but first I believe that we should be the example. We should do not just with words, but with our acts. And this will be the most important thing. So if we live like a good spiritist, we're going to be better than just words. And either way, we're going to be having help of the spiritists. And it's saying even if you are not educated enough, you don't know how to speak in public, the spiritism is going to help you. They even say that these tongues of fire, so they'll be ready to say something and help you. So you're going to be, how can I say, intuition. So they will
Inspired.
yeah, inspire you
Inspiration.
to say the right
Mhm.
thing for the right person, and they yeah basically if you want to be a good spiritist, you're going to receive help.
Yes. Thank you. Any
Um,
comments?
just like Andrea said, we had the past few weeks we have talked about it, how to be humble, how to acknowledge the orders that come before you, how to have faith, how to understand that, how understand that we all have a meaning to be here, we all have a mission, and now in a very poetic way, I would say, they talk about the mission of spiritists, which is a very interesting topic. Andrea and I yesterday spent some time studying about that actually, about
Oh,
mediums and
really?
etc. Actually, yeah.
Mhm.
So it's really interesting, and it talks about the storm that's rumbling, the rumbling of the tempest. It must do away of the old world. So it's explaining, potentially it's pointing to this spiritist movement and the fact that we are all awakening and understanding more and seeing the need for more. And it talks about reincarnation and the elevation of the spirits. So it's showing us that's right there and we should do something about it. Um, Another interesting part that talks here, he talks about you must sacrifice your habits, your labor, and the futile, which is actually a very interesting word that we use a lot in Brazil, but not in English, which is futilidades.
Mhm.
Not many people know futile. It means something that will not prosper. So it's procrastination. So it means we have to stop doing things that will not have future, that will not bring any benefits to us or other people, and focus on having faith, focus on spreading the word of Jesus and focus the gospel. They also mentioned here about that we have been chosen, the spiritists have been chosen by God. And of course, they mention they're not saying that God has chosen someone more than someone else because God is fair, so he won't do that. It's not fair to choose someone over someone else. What it's talking about is actually talking about those who have chose the path of Jesus and chose charity and being a good person and have good morals, and those are pretty much considered as the chosen from God because they chose to follow the path of God and doing good in life. And as we were studying yesterday, a good spiritist is someone who has good morals and is able to communicate well as they elevate their spirit and faith. Um, yeah, that's it.
Can you go back just one, please? No, the second one I wanted.
That's the first one.
The
The second one.
second one. Oh, yeah. I'm not sure where, it's somewhere there, can't see now. But you touched on that already as well. I like that part when it says you must sacrifice your habits, because many of our habits are actually our vices, such as our selfishness, our pride. And so the real sacrifice, which sometimes not so much nowadays, but especially in the past in some religions, would be to not eat for any some days, specific days, or maybe, I mean, many when you were more primitive would be sacrifice even worse than that. But the sacrifice of not eating or doing material stuff is easy. But then the sacrifice of the habits that it talks there is more in moral terms. In terms of when we sacrifice our pride, would be to be able to forgive someone, and more yet, even more, to ask for forgiveness, for example. To sacrifice our selfishness would be to share what we have, and because we all know, and according to Spiritism, we are spirits in evolution. That means we have been cultivating these habits for a long, long time. We still in a planet of trial and expiations. We still have lots of imperfections. So, and it's hard to break a habit, even if it's a material one, right? How hard is it? That's why we need to, as good spiritists, we have to every day work on it to sacrifice them, to change them. Even before we start, he was talking about an app that you can every day help you, and that is the, how is it called again? The reform,
Agenda reformation.
right? So it's all has to do with self knowledge, analyzing ourselves, knowing ourselves, but also working every day. And I mean, there are apps and there are many other ways of we can, for example, separate half an hour of every day to read Gospel according to Spiritism or any other book, but read and reflect on, okay, what is it saying here? How am I doing on that aspect of my life? Am I still doing the same every day, the same habits, or I'm trying to do something? Saint Augustine has the beautiful advice that almost not lately, but there was a time that every meeting we would mention that advice because he's that's so good for every day before we go to sleep, and reflects about our day, everything that we did, what we did well and what we didn't do well, if something that we did might offended somebody or made somebody upset. And then we make a plan for next day, correct those mistakes and do a little bit better. So, yes, self-assessment. And that's is an everyday activity, and it's hard. Sometimes we forget, sometimes we don't want to do, but that's the way. If we want to do be good spiritists, we have to work on ourselves to get there. Do you want to say something?
First of all, I love this part of the gospel. I think it's one of my favorites, and I bring it as a lesson to me because I love reading about spiritism and about reincarnation. But the main message, in my opinion, is we have received the knowledge, but we have the mission to spread the good news. And for me, it's a big challenge. I think when I first came to the meeting, it's hard for me to talk in public, but we need to learn. We need to search for this knowledge, but we need to spread the message as well. But I think it's interesting because it's an analogy. Pentecostes, I'm not sure how to say it in English. When they say, when he says that the tongues of fire will light over your heads, it means it's an illusion. When the disciples, they were all together after meeting Jesus, and he came to them and said, go and spread the good news.
Yes.
So they did not know how to do it, but they were inspired by all those good spirits. So I think we need to have faith, but my second favorite part is it's an active faith. There's a lot of work to be done, like a personal work. We need to water the ground that we are sowing with our own sweat. So this is very strong for me. Like there's a lot of work to do. We need to sweat a lot and keep working just to get better and make sure that the knowledge we received will spread to the others. It's not easy, but
It's our job, right?
Yeah.
It's our goal, our mission, we would
Yeah.
say. Thank you.
no,
Jairo? Anything? No? Okay.
Just oh, sorry.
Go ahead.
Just to complement what
Yeah.
Alcione mentioned, so the app that I have on my phone, it's called Intimacy Refurbishment. It's some good things for you to reflect every day. The idea behind that I put it, it's just like a meeting like today, all of you here, incarnators, incarnate. When you leave this meeting, you have a really good feeling. You're in a good state of mind. You elevate yourself. You definitely go home and you're feeling really good and you're smiling and then you have a really good night of sleep. So that mood, that state of mind, that leads with you if you cultivate. Just like they mentioned, if you let the drop go in the soil, it will grow. The reason why I have the app and I check in the morning when I wake up, when I'm brushing my teeth, I just open and put music. So I bring that state of mind around me all the time. And that belongs to you. That's inside you right now. And the spirit is always around you. So if you do a prayer in the morning, if you elevate yourself in the morning, you practice spiritism at 24 hours when you're sleeping, when you're awake. And that's the key. It's great that we come here on a Wednesday and have this amazing, but what is the trick? How do you keep the energy around you? How do you keep your mind on that state every single day? So that's why I have it. So I slowly keep practicing. I once, a long time ago, was a very, very negative person, a very angry person, aggressive. And then I started to practice doing the good things with little things. Like someone cut me on the traffic, I would say, God bless you. You probably have a family that love you and you're driving like this, you're going to go early to the sky and they're going to be very upset. And then like that, just little practices, little things. Like they say in English, fake till you make it, right? I said to myself, fake until you become. And one day I turned into a positive person and I don't remember anymore when that happened. But it was the practice. It was just like every single day, make it a habit, like drinking water. You having a vitamin. You put vitamins on your body so your body function well. Put vitamins on your spirit so your spirit function well, on your mind, on your heart. Treat yourself with respect, treat yourself with love. Give that to you so you can give it back. We can only give what we got.
Thank you.
Sorry, Andrea.
Yeah, I just want to talk more a little bit about the bad habits that we have. And Ocean mentioned that. And I used to think that it was really difficult to break some habits. And there is a question on the Spirits book that talk about that. I will read that. It's the question 909. And this Kardec asks, could humans always overcome their bad tendencies through their own efforts? And the spirits answer, yes, and sometimes with very little effort. What they lack is willpower. How few of you make such an effort? However,
Yeah.
so it's just the spirit saying that It's really
Willpower.
easy to break those bad habits, and you just need a little bit of willpower, and that's a little effort that you have to make to become something like Togun was saying. So forget about that, and it's just the beginning. If you have that right mindset, and if you're connected with your protector spirit, it's going to be easy for you to make the good decisions and go to the right path. And just adding a little bit on what Hita said, that's really it's a really good thing that I learned when I was reading the book called Renúncia. I don't know the name in English.
I don't know if it's renounced.
It is renounced.
I
Yeah.
believe it is renounced,
Yes.
yes.
So
Yeah.
so the main character, Alcione,
Not me, the same name. She's well above
she
me.
was studying the Bible with a priest and her family, and she said after the studies that the message of Christ, so all his knowledge, it has 4 steps to understand it fully. So the first step is to know and to know the message first and foremost, and then the second you have to meditate that message. The third step you have to feel it, and then the fourth you have to live it. I think I translated right,
Oh,
the 4 steps.
It's good.
And that's really important because sometimes you are, for example, if you're not patient, so you're not patient at all. So you're on the first step, you have to learn how to be more patient. But sometimes you're not, you don't have a lot of pride, for example. So probably you are already feeling it or you're already even living it. So you need to understand for each one of your bad habits where you are on that scale and adjust what you need at that point. Because I think the difficult part that sometimes they say that it's difficult to break the habit because you don't know if you are on the beginning of breaking that habit or if it's almost there. Because if you're almost there, of course it's going to be easy. But if you're in the beginning, you have to go off those 4 steps until you fully break that habit and become a better person.
Oh, thank you, André. Good explanation and good that find that question and answer. So we need that willpower. We can keep read. Yeah, finish that topic. Then.
Watch the
What-
difference.
Does anybody would like to continue reading, please?
I can read.
Thank you.
What do the traps that will be set for you along your way matter? Only wolves fall into traps for wolves, because shepherd knows how to defend his sheep against such murderous butchers. Go forth, men and women who are great before God, and who, more blessed than St. Thomas, believe without asking to see, and accept the fate of mediumship, even when you have never successful in obtaining it yourselves. Go forth. The Spirit of God is leading you. Press onwards, magnificent phalanx of faith, and the great battalions of disbelievers will vanish before you like the morning mist at the first rays of the sun, the rising sun. Faith is the virtue that moves mountains, Jesus said. However, impurity and all its vices lie heavier than the heaviest mountains on the heart of humankind. So go forth with courage in order to move these mountains of iniquity, which future generations will know about only through legend, just as yourselves know only very imperfectly about the period of time prior to the pagan civilization. Yes, moral and philosophic upheavals will occur at all points on the globe. The time approaches when the divine light will be shed over the two worlds. Go forth, then, and take the divine word to the great ones of the world who will scorn it, to the learned who will demand proof, to the small and simple who will accept it, because it is especially among the martyrs of labor, the earthly expiations, that you will find zeal and faith. Go forth with canticles of thanksgiving and songs of praise to God. They will receive the holy consolation you bring them, and they will bow their heads in thank you in thanks for the portion of early affections. May your phalanx be armed with resolutions and courage. Get to work. The plow is ready. The soil awaits you. Now you must work. Go forth and give thanks to God for the glorious task He has entrusted to you. But be in mind that among those called spiritists, many have gone astray. So watch your course and follow the way of the truth. Question: if many of those called spiritists have gone astray, by what signs do we recognize those who are on the rightful path? Answer. Sorry?
No, nothing. Said
Ah.
yes.
Answer. You will recognize them by the principles of the true charity that they profess and practice. You will recognize them by the number of afflicted to whom they take consolation. You will recognize them by the love for the neighbor. They selflessness, that's a hard word,
Yeah.
and a personal disinterestedness. You recognize them finally by the triumph of the principles, for God wills the triumph of His law. Those who obey His law are the elected, and He will give them victory. However, He will crush those who falsify the spirit of the law and who make it a stepping stone for satisfying the vanity and ambition. Erastus, the Median Garden Angel, Paris, 1863.
Thank you. So we finished the topic, the mission of the Spiritists.
The word phalanx.
Eu acho que é falange,
Falange.
but I'm not so falange, não é?
Is it?
Falange is like
It's a group of
A group.
spirits, like very
Yeah. Evolved, more
Evolved.
evolved spirits.
Yeah.
Yeah. Falange.
Yeah, a body of troops or police officers standing or moving in close formation. Yeah,
But in spirit,
it's a group. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's a phalange. Yeah.
What is the first, the word forth mean? Go forth? I think it's forth or first.
Tipo, vai em frente,
Ah,
com-
é.
In French.
Go
continue.
ahead. Yeah.
Go
Correct.
ahead.
Okay.
Yeah. yeah.
It's encouraging. It's I actually read it so I can talk.
Yeah, yeah.
It's just encouraging you.
So,
It's everything that we talked about before, where like Andrea says, if you have faith, you have all you needed. If you have God in your heart, you have all you needed. You're ready.
Mhm.
You don't actually have to wait until you become a millionaire to actually do charity, to do good, to go and help someone, to go and help an institution. You go there right now, mop the floor. They will be very happy. You have done charity. You can't measure that. It's not measurable. It's not about how you do it or how much you do it. It's your intention. It's your go and doing it. So it's telling him, if you don't trust yourself, trust God, and that's it. You have all the trust you needed. You have all the power you needed. If you have faith, that you got all you needed. You've been born with the tools that you needed to success and to apply to this, to be good, to be kind. All of us here know how to be good. All of us know how to be kind. We just practice it. And it's encouraging you. It's telling you that you are armed with this phalanx of resolution and courage. They're all behind you. They're all there to help you. And at the end, they ask you, how do I recognize someone who's actually doing good? How do I separate it, as we talked here before, someone who is a false prophet, a fig tree that doesn't give figs, right? And you recognize it by watching what they do, what they talk, what the practices. We do have those people that they claim they are good or they are priests or they whatever, but we know when they are not in front of other people, they do bad. They go bad about money, about ego, about anger, about jealousy, about all the other feelings that we pray every day that the friendly spirituality take it away from us, so it doesn't distract us from our path. Yeah.
no, very,
I love
very
Erastus. He's really
very,
good.
very good. It's
Yeah.
a very inspirational, motivational passage, isn't it? And yeah, that part about the charity is really what matters. If you wanna tell not only spiritists but anybody, and we can't really tell what other people are doing. We can judge and we can know about ourselves because even if we pay attention at people's life, only God knows what is in their hearts. and what are the intentions as well. So from our part, what we need to pay attention and make an effort every day is to practice charity, which doesn't need to be material, as Togun just mentioned as well. The moral charity is actually much harder to do because we have to sometimes swallow our pride. We have to do something without waiting or wanting to receive back without any interest. It has to be really because we want to help other, because we want to give up some our time of rest or our time of leisure to be there and do something for someone else. And sometimes it's, of course, for us, it's still much easier to do charity to those that we love, to those that we consider as friends or our family, and can be really tricky to do charity to those that we don't get along or have very different ideas from us. And this type of the charity, which is the most valued and the one that is a little bit closer to the true charity. I feel that for now we're just practicing a little bit here and there. Sometimes we manage to do, sometimes our willpower is not as strong as we wish, and then we don't, but we should still go forth, as it says there, and keep trying until we get there. Want to say something?
I love what you say
Um,
about charity. And in one of Andali's books, Aniceto says that we cannot sow awaiting for the fruits or for the plants to grow. We just need to sow, and it's up to God to give us the plants and the fruits. So I think that charity is about that. It's about planting the seeds everywhere, but not expecting them
mhm.
to grow. And then, yeah, you most of the time you have great surprises and good, feedback. But you do not have to. You cannot expect it.
Mhm.
It's up to God.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. Jairo, you want to say no? Daniel? Okay.
Yeah, I think you guys said everything. I just want to add what Peter said. Uh, we just need to uh, soil to plant the seeds because sometimes you're going to be planting a seed and you're going to see that it's starting to grow and then they will leave. But someone is going to come to your life and they will probably already be giving fruits and it's going to be helping you. So that's like this circle. So you're going to be helping someone and probably you're not going to see the fruits, but someone is going to come with you to you and you already have fruits for you. And that's how you're going to be helping someone and receiving the fruits from someone else that someone else is going to be helping you. And it's always like that.
Cool. Thank you. Yeah, and also when we help somebody, it always brings us joy. So it's really hard to help somebody and see that our help makes some affects people's life. It's one of the biggest joy that we can have when we see the person like doing well or it was very depressive, let's say, and now is happy, or we help them achieve something. It's a great feeling for us as well. So it's really worth doing that and practicing it.
And remember that Erastus, no, Emmanuel say that the first needed that we have it is actually gospel ourselves to look after ourselves. Remember that you also are a spirit and you also can look after yourself. It's better for you to look after yourself now than needed to look to ask for help later, as Emmanuel
Right.
says.
We
Yeah.
also have this responsibility, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, we have to put in the airplane the oxygen
yeah.
mask. We gotta put in ourselves and then in others. So very important point as
We can
well.
only give what we got.
Exactly. Thank you. Oh, guys, so we can go now to the Spirits book. We are still on the chapter about emancipation of the soul, I believe, chapter 8, emancipation of the
Yeah.
soul.
Question 431.
And tonight is question 431. Let me see. Andrea, can you please read the first one for us?
430 about what we talked.
Okay, hold on. Does anybody want to do like a little summary about what we studied last week? I believe it was sonambulism.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right? Do you want to talk? Oh, you
Just confirming.
confirming. Thank you.
What was the
Okay.
subject?
We talk about sonambulism
It's all right.
and clairvoyance and how your spirit has your faculties as a spirit get enhanced when you're in that state of mind because you are less attached to your physical body. And we talk some very specific topics regards opaque objects and how the knowledge of the spirit will influence on the faculties that they may have it when in that state of mind.
Mhm.
We also talk about the difference between artificial, induced, and natural, which is pretty much the same that happens. Anything else we talked to?
No, that's
I think it was pretty much, it was very technical. Yeah, it wasn't a lot to reflect on.
and we're going to keep
Thank you.
discussing about that today.
Yeah, it's a little bit, yeah, technical terms.
Very scientific.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you. So 431?
31.
Yes, please.
What is the source of somnambulists' innate ideas and how can they speak with such precision about things of which they are ignorant in the waking state and which are even above their intellectual capacity? And their spirits answer. It is it just so happens that somnambulists possess more knowledge than you might think, but is dormant. Their corporeal envelope is too imperfect for them to be able to remember such knowledge. But who are they? After all, like us, they are spirits who have incarnate to fulfill their mission. And this somnambulistic state into which they enter awakens them from this lethargy. We have repeatedly told you that humans live many times. This change is what causes the material loss of what they had learned in a previous life. When they enter what you call the crisis state, they remember what they already know, but not always completely. They know, but they cannot say where such knowledge comes from or why they have it. When the crisis passes, the memory is erased entirely and they are once again in the dark. Uh,
There is
Keep
a
going.
comment, right?
Yeah, experience has shown that somnambulists also receive communications from other spirits who transmit to them what they must say and supply them with what they like. It is especially seen in cases involving medical prescriptions. The spirit of the somnambulist discerns what the malady is, and another spirit indicates the remedy. This double action is sometimes patent, whereas at other times it is revealed through their frequent expressions. They are telling me to say, or they are forbidding me to say much and such and such. In the latter case, it is always dangerous to insist on obtaining information that has been denied. Otherwise, the door opens to frivolous spirits who unscrupulously talk about everything without being at all interested in the truth.
Ricardo?
How do you explain the remote viewing ability that some somnambulists experience? Does the soul travel about during sleep? The same thing occurs in the somnambulism.
Thank you. Daniel?
Right. Ver se eu consigo ler. 433. Does the greater or lesser development of somnambulistic clairvoyance depend on the physical organization of the body or on the nature of the incarnated spirit?
On both. There are physical dispositions that allow the
Spirit to disengage itself easily or not so easily from matter.
Thank you.
134 are the faculties that the spirit of the somnambulist enjoys the same as those of the spirits after death, to a certain extent, but the somnambulist spirit still finds itself attached to matter, and one must take this fact into account.
Just one more.
Can somnambulists see other spirits? Most can see them very easily, but it depends on the nature and degree of their lucidity. However, sometimes they do not at first understand what other spirits are and thus mistake them for corporeal beings. This happens especially with those who have no knowledge of Spiritism because they do not yet comprehend the nature of spirits. Their human appearance fools them, and that is why they think they are seeing living persons.
Oh yeah. The same effect is produced at the. Oh, that's no, that's okay. That's all
The
right.
same effect is produced at the moment of death among those who think they are still alive. Nothing around them appears to have changed. Spirits appear to them as having bodies similar to ours, and they mistake the appearance of their own bodies as being real.
Thank you. Do somnambulists who see at a distance see from the place where their body is or from where their soul is? Why ask such a question? Since it is the soul that sees and not the body. Ooh. Strike that one.
437. Since it is actually the soul that travels about, how can somnambulists experience in their body the sensation of the heat or cold of the place where their soul is, which is sometimes very far where their body actually is? The soul has not entirely left the body. It travels, it always remains connected to it by the tie that joins them. It is tie is the conductor of sensations. When two persons correspond between one state and another by means of electricity, the electricity is the tie between the thoughts. Thanks to it, they can communicate as though they were right next to each other.
Now is the last one. 438.
438. Does the use of somnambulists make of the faculties during life influence the state of the spirit after death? Very considerably. Like the good or bad use of all the faculties that God has given to the human beings.
Oh, thank you. So we finished that topic. Lots in here. Do you want to start with the comments on that, please?
Yeah, so we keep seeing what is the state of somnambulism, and you can see that's basically really similar when we are disincarnated. So we have most of our faculties. We we can see spirits. We can talk to them. So last week we were discussing that we can even see talk to people that we didn't know even if the person is already dead you're already dead or not. Yeah. And here the interesting thing is that uh, the question that I read, the first one, is talking about a kind of a type of mediumship when you are a somnambulic state. There are some types of mediums, the same way that Chico Xavier used to psychograph. I don't know.
Psychographic.
Yeah. He used to psychograph. That was his main special, his main mediumship. He had others, but this was his main one. There are some mediums that are specialized in somnambulism, and they can only talk and interact with the spirit world through the somnambulistic state. And it is describing how they can do it and how they can communicate with the spirits. And sometimes is their knowledge that they are sharing, sometimes is the knowledge of another spirit that's talking through them. And yeah, I think that's it.
Thank you, André. Ricardo, any questions or any
Oh, I
comments?
think it's more a question because like I never experienced like anyone as a somnambulist, like I
Like
don't know if
yourself or other people that
no other people. I don't think I did too, but
you
have-
don't know, right? Sometimes
Yeah,
we
yeah.
don't actually know.
have anyone experienced like some like, kind of talking or with somnambulism and was that like how was this experience? You know, like because I have idea that like yes about the movies, you know, that people walk
Yeah.
and they go back.
Yeah.
I don't know anything, but it's a very curious topic.
Have you?
know.
I think yes, yes, I have. My sister was, she has somnambulism. Of course, here in the book, potentially by the time where it was written, it's a very specific talk about somnambulism. And these days we do understand a different type of trends, like it talks about lethargic states, where that can be experienced not just in a somnambulism state, where of course your consciousness it's not really taking over the body, it's something else that reacts to it. But we probably have all experienced to a very mild degree some sort of feelings exactly the same. Even when it says that the person may receive information and then forget all about it, that sometimes happens to us. Sometimes we even receive information that is really familiar to us, like when we're learning about spiritism. You may read something and go, "Oh, this makes a lot of sense." You're potentially just remembering. Your spirit will probably have that memory already, so you're just remembering something. So that it correlates in the same timeline of thinking when you connect to the somnambulism. But yes, so back to what it is, my sister used to walk and talk, but mainly she will talk about her day or things such as she won't do it. That is an example of someone who you should prescribe, um, uh, give prescriptions of medicine away of natural true somnambulism. I can't remember where I read this. It's one of the books, the million books that we read. It was a boy, and he used to go to the somnambulist state, and then we'll just start to write, and give prescriptions.
Oh, wow.
And at some stage in the book, he mentions that one day he couldn't give prescriptions. He just went to the somnambulist state, and he opened that against her. Oh, sorry, I can't give it today. They asked you why. He said, "Oh, the doctor's not here." So he used to see a doctor. They should come and tell me, and he would just repeat the words. So
mediumship.
it's a type of mediumship.
Yeah.
So I guess, yeah, it's related to what you say, but I guess the majority of somnambulists that we know today is potentially just something that the person, needs to treat or something like that. We probably won't have someone who will give message so often.
Less common nowadays.
It's less common,
Way
yeah.
less common than at that time.
Yeah, on that time
Okay.
when they probably happened a lot. Yeah.
Nice, thank you. Yeah, because like it's pretty like this experience. I've never, as I said, like I never experienced myself, but we have this experience sometimes that we say like our spirit travels through the night,
that's
right?
Yeah.
Emancipation.
And sometimes we are in this state like sleeping, awake, you are transferred. Sometimes you have like such a like looks like someone throwing you on the floor. You know, 'cause you
When you go
return.
back to it.
Yeah, looks like you were like already like going out from your body.
Yeah.
And it's such a weird experience. Like it's fascinating, isn't it? Because you really feel like a shaking your body. I cannot explain if it's not that. Your spirit just going back to your body.
Yeah.
So,
Thank you. Daniel?
Not sure if we have time, but
Yeah, we have time.
we learned a lot about the somnambulism, but I still, is this somnambulism is the same, the one we have every day, normal nothing to do with the median.
No, the emancipation of the soul, when we sleep, our spirits, yeah, we rest, but our spirit doesn't rest. So in this chapter, we've been studying what can potentially happen with our spirits. But sonambulism is more specific. So as we said, it's not very common nowadays. Was way more common back in the day. Can be the sonambulism state for some people could be related to mediumship, but not to everybody. It's not because it's sonambulism, it's always, isn't it? Andrea was talking about the mediumship, but you
Yeah.
can say if you have sonambulism or medium, no, it's not that way.
Okay.
It's just
So
one type, but
it's-
more common with us when we sleep, our spirit, so the body is resting, but the spirit could go to many different places according to what we do during the day, according to our interests. Um, if if we during the day are doing charity and helping people in the spiritual plan, we may keep doing that or studying or doing something useful. If during the day we're doing, as we said, futile, was that futile stuff, coisas fúteis, or things that are not going to help anybody, or something selfish, or dealing with our pride, we'll go to places where spirits are also have the same conversation, or always, or liking doing that. So we'll be attracted to, according to our vibration, to groups or to situations that are similar to what we feel and to what we are at the moment.
yeah, I'm just like to know what you answered. That is different.
Yeah, so
Because
emancipation
like your
of the
sister
soul
told-
is that, is
told
that
me,
separation. Huh? Sorry?
Like your sister.
Yeah, yeah.
That
But
She-
her
she's
was useless, yeah.
She's
Wasn't
not a
useful.
medium.
was not a
No,
medium.
it's very rare to find someone who's not median, but she's a median, but the sonambulist wasn't related to it.
To the
She usually talk about her dinner majority of the time.
Yeah, because I know one person, he at night used to, someone told me, he was talking about the day,
Yeah.
kicking, because he works with fighting, kickbox and those things.
Yeah, yeah.
And so it doesn't make sense for me to have a median, um,
Mediumship?
Faculty,
mediumship.
yes.
So, you know, nothing to do, I think.
Yeah,
No.
so he was a somnambulist, he has somnambulism, doesn't necessarily correlate to mediumship. However, if, for example, he, improve his morals and his mediumship side and spiritual side, one day that could actually be used as he has this faculty of physically being able to go to the somnambulist state that could also be explored in the future. We're not saying it's not, but we are saying usually when it spontaneous happens, it potentially is not actually related to the mediumship, which wasn't the case on that time where obviously the spirit had a different mission back then in 18 something, where they desperately communicated to us and let us know that they exist. So they try many different ways. We also have to remember that something that I constantly remind myself is that people back then, they had way less, how do I say, vicissitudes like we have it. They have different morals than the one we have it. So it was a different time. But like they mentioned in the book, it's just to mention that that can potentially happen. So somnambulism can turn into something related to that. I guess they kind of just telling us that it can happen. It's not that happen often. It's very rare, I believe, but
Yeah, I
it can
believe so.
happen. Yeah. And sorry, just one more thing that I remember. Andrea Luis, not the incarnated Andrea Luis, the another Andrea Luis. He mentions, I think in his book, about half to end of the book, I'm not quite sure, but I know someone meets someone else. A spirit that is incarnated meets someone, and I believe the person is in like in a dream state or not
Yeah.
somnambulist state. So that can actually help a lot. So imagine you have someone who passed and is having a really hard time understanding how the other side works and challenges and accept God and etc. You in a somnambulist state could be guided by the spirits to go and help that person, to go and talk to that person, because the person knows you, the person trusts you. And then, as they say there, when you go back, you don't remember anything. You can, I don't know, wake up tired or wake up be confused, but that can happen. how many times in our dreams we actually met someone who is another spirit? It can be incarnated or disincarnated, but we met that person and we talked to that person, or even helped that person sometimes,
Yeah.
right?
Definitely.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you.
Jairo, any comments?
Just to clarify, um, so I don't know how to say desdobramento.
Would be emancipation,
Yeah.
I believe, right? Yeah,
So the
emancipation.
emancipation of the soul is different from somnambulism, right?
Yeah.
Because
Yes.
in the emancipation, the matter, the body,
Body,
was
yeah.
still at rest.
Right. Correct.
And when you're a somnambulist, you
The
use
body
your matter to, move,
Yes.
but your soul is actually emancipated and you can see and talk and do whatever.
Yeah.
It's like you're sleeping. Is that right? Because I was a bit confused.
Yeah.
But yeah, okay.
Unfolding.
And
Oh.
So it's
so,
a spiritual unfolding. And that happened, but they probably in a different scenarios
Yeah.
where unfolding or emancipation
Emancipation.
can potentially be triggered by that person. They know they have the ability. They
mhm.
know they can do it. They understand that. Whereas somnambulism, I don't think they control much. It just happens. So yes, again, we're just trying to understand better. But the word is different, but it's a little bit similar. What happened to the person? However, when they do unfolding, I believe they have way more control of what they actually
And
doing.
material bodies at rest, right?
Material bodies
Because
resting.
I know that the somnambulist, my brother is a somnambulist.
Ah,
and he
yeah,
will
it goes
walk
around.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
shout
The
and
body is-
fight and
yeah.
do everything.
The body is not resting.
Yeah.
Yeah. You're
Yeah,
correct.
you're right.
Is that right? Okay.
Yes. Any other comments? Because we're reaching our time, but there is still time for any comments or questions. Or is that enough for us to reflect on it and try to and read more, read again, read more at home? Yeah, it's those scientific parts of spiritism we have to study, and it's tricky to grab. At least for me, I find all the information at once and understand every single part of it. So we always need to study more and keep studying until we understand. But
It will get more complicated.
oh yeah,
It will get worse.
You throw more things.
it just gets even
Yeah.
more. Eh?
It keeps going.
Yeah, but that's it. If we have, as we learn in other lessons, the willpower, we can do it. We have to keep going and learn it. Even if it's a little bit every day, if we manage to read a little bit and study every day, we will build this knowledge and learn more. And we are really lucky, as we saw in the other passage, that the information is available. Nowadays, there are so many lectures and videos available if you go to YouTube. Yeah, there are so many of them. So if we do have a question, if we're not sure, yeah, the safest place to look is the books of decodification, but there are many other books recommended by FEB, Federação Espírita Brasileira, and yeah, we can always ask each other, and we're here to study together as well, so we're learning together. There are many, many things that I don't know and I need to learn, and every time I come here, I always learn a little bit more. That's the way that together we will get to improve ourselves. So thank you so much for all the readings, the comments, the good energy to be here tonight. And we're going now to do our vibration and our final prayer as well. Some music on. Let's listen to this calm music, feeling the good fluids around us. Let's together reunite our thoughts, our feelings, our willingness to help. Let's think about our universe, so beautiful, with all the stars, planets, galaxies. And we can see in the middle of all the planets, we can see a little point, which is our planet Earth, our school, our place of learning. Let's involve our planets with energy, positive energy of peace, of harmony, so much needed in these times of not much understanding between countries, between nations. Let's vibrate to the people in power, the governance of the countries that sometimes wanted to use the force instead of communicate and understand each other. Let's vibrate for our planet Earth. Let's also remember and send our kindness, our comforts to those that are sick at the moment. We know that the pandemic happening at the moment holds lots of work, extra work in hospitals everywhere. Let's vibrate to everyone that is suffering any sickness or disease, but also sending our love to the health professionals that are looking after those that are sick. And many of them have been working extra hours in order to look after everybody that needs. Let's also vibrate to those that are on the streets and don't have a shelter, a home. The ones that lost hope and faith, let's give them a little bit of our faith and hope so they can know a better future will come, better days will come. Nothing is eternal, and this life is temporary. Let's vibrate then to the kids that are in the orphanage or maybe on the streets without the comforts of parents or someone to look after them. Let's also bring the certainty that all suffering will pass. Nobody will suffer forever, and consolation and new beginning will come, new opportunities. Let's vibrate to those that disincarnate recently and still sometimes a bit lost, not sure where to go, what's happening, what to do, that they can be helped receive instructions, that they can ask for help from their hearts so their prayers can be answered in the right time. Let's now come closer to our daily life and remember our friends, our family. Doesn't matter the distance, where they are at the moment, what they are doing. Let's bring our kindness, our love to them, and also vibrate to those that might be from our family or not, people that we have difficulties with, whether it's like communicating with them or even relating to them as they are so different from us sometimes. Let's think about them with love. And now, let's then open our hearts to receive the positive fluids that the spirits can give to us. Already thanking them for magnetizing our water, thanking them for always being with us, inspiring our thoughts, our actions, that we can do our part so they can be near us most of the time. So, with this feeling of gratitude, of love, would you like to say thank you so much for the meeting tonight? That we can remind ourselves to apply what we already know when the challenge arises in our path. That we can spread all this positivity around us wherever we go during our week. That we can, after this meeting, go home in peace and meet again for another meeting soon. Would you like to ask permission to God, Jesus, spiritual friends, to finish another Allan Kardec meeting? Thank you. So be it. So thank you everybody for being here tonight.